I'm Katie Atwell, co-host of the EduGals podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of My EdTech Live. Thank you so much for joining us on this Monday evening. And for those of you that joined us this morning also, thank you so much for joining us also on this wonderful evening. And wherever in the world that you may be, whether it's already well into Tuesday, whatever the time may be, thank you so much for making us part of your day. I am excited to be here with you all because we've got an amazing guest today. We're going to be talking about creativity and our passion in the classroom to bring and amplify student creativity. And I couldn't think of a better guest to have on the show to talk about the amazing work that she is doing. And if you don't know who she is yet, you definitely need to follow her on social media. And after today, make sure you follow her in anything that she does because she is one of the most creative, genuine, authentic people that I know that is out there in the classroom, just hustling and just making her kids so much better. And of course, bringing that knowledge to teachers as well near you, because we're definitely going to be talking about the work that she has been doing, traveling as well as an ACE as an ACE member. Yes, of course, creative educator, Adobe Creative Educator. So we're going to talk about that. And so this evening, I'd like to welcome Ms. Tanya Gonzalez to the show. Tanya, how are you doing this evening?
Thank you. I'm super nervous. I was just telling you right now that it's such a an honor to be in your session, and you only have a bunch of superstars here. I'm just a bilingual educator, but thank you so much. I'm so humbled by your invitation, and it feels amazing to be a part of your agenda. Thank you for having me.
No, well, thank you so much. I know that this has definitely been a long time coming. So hopefully, I'm glad actually that we made those connections because it's so funny how we cross paths. And then later on, at Region 1, we met there and we
Yes,
said hi to each other. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we were working in the same district, just in
yes.
different schools at the same time. So it's just been amazing. And as you can see, definitely a lot of love right now in the
I love
chat.
you now. Thank
Going
you.
crazy. Erica Sandstrom, thank you so much for joining us. We've got our boy Steve from Cami. We've got so many amazing people. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. I really appreciate you all.
Thank
So,
you.
Tanya, let's go ahead and get started because I know you and I can talk about this forever, and there's only so much that we can squeeze in into this hour. So, before we get started, for our audience members that may just be getting to know you for the very first time and are following your work, give us a little brief introduction, your context in education, and then we'll go ahead and jump in.
Of course. My experience has been mostly in bilingual, as a bilingual educator, has been in elementary. I've taught middle school in Arizona. I taught for 3 years, but based on my experience and where I come from, I've always been attracted to elementary settings. I was raised in McAllen, Texas, but I was born in McAllen, Texas, but I was raised in Reynosa, Tamaulipas. I went to school out there till third grade. I had beautiful teachers who taught me the right thing to do and who, throw me a chalk here and there when my ADHD would get out of hand. But I had a lot of people who influenced me. My grandfather, he founded a school in Reynosa, and that had a great impact in me. I did not get to meet my grandfather, but my aunt took over, my tia Natalia, and she actually was an amazing star for education in Reynosa. She had her own committee, and she would support so many children out there. And my influence with education has come from not only my family, but my own teachers. When we moved to McAllen, I was a student at McAllen ISD. I went to Navarro Elementary. Navarro doesn't exist anymore, but I was part of the ELD club. And, it's from the beginning. I had no idea how to say a word in English. And I had phenomenal teachers out there. I had incredible, leaders and principals who taught me the right thing to do and gave me the right path. I was always involved with sports as a little girl, and I've always thought, I need to go back and I need to be that inspiration, that person for other kids, because we all come from the same place. we lived in a little house, and my parents always worked hard for us. And I never needed a plate of food in our household, but I mean, I could start crying. My parents were such hard workers. I was the first one to graduate from college in my household. So you could just imagine how proud I am of everything that my parents gave me. And I try to do that for my own students in the classroom. And there's this quote that has just been recycling in my mind, grace before grades, especially right now. I treat my babies like they're my kids. It's Maestra, I need this, or Miss Gonzalez, can you help me? Or Miss Gonzalez, I need to go to the restroom for the 10th time today. Go, do what you need to. I'm sleepy today. I don't know. I could go on and on, Fuss. I could tell you, I had a friend of mine who donated jackets to one of my classrooms, and everybody in my classroom got jackets. So it just goes to tell you that a lot of us in the elementary setting and around school, we all go that extra mile for our own kids. And especially right now that it's been a roller coaster for those of us who are still in the classroom. It's bonkers sometimes. You go crazy, but you try to remember that why, and you have to dig in deep, especially right now. And all the kids are at different levels, and you're trying to work miracles with them. So not only was I a miracle worker for a lot of teachers in my, when I was a young little girl, but I'm trying to do the same for them. And just like all my coworkers are, everybody is just working hard towards the same goal to get them where they need to be, regardless of what happened in 2020. So that's just a little bit about me.
Absolutely. And and that's so great. Believe it or not, it's so funny. We connected, and now hearing your story and your background, it's like, oh my gosh, we have so much in common. Similar situation, first
Mhm.
generation graduate from high school, college, and anything, hardworking parents, like you said, little house, never needed any food, and my parents working hard. And so it's interesting, our stories are just parallel and very similar in many ways. And the way that you talk and the way that's the exact same way that I felt about my babies when I was in the classroom. And I don't know, I guess it's just that nurturing, natural nurturing thing that we have in us because of the way that we grew up, and we understand those hardships, and we understand that not every student is going to come, from the best situation at home. So we want to make the best that we can for them for those 6 to 8 hours that they're with us before they go home to we don't know what. But this is something that I always told my kiddos in the classroom, who were having a hard time at home. I said, guys, I just want you to come to my classroom and be a kid. Be a kid for this 6 to 8 hours that you're with me. Go home, do your homework really fast, and just go to sleep very early before like anything happens or anything. Just go to sleep, forget about that, come back to school, and just be a kid again and enjoy that. And it was just so much like just staying up at night thinking about them and like what's going on, and hopefully they're well. And it's
And
absolute
it does
love that
hurt.
we have.
It does hurt to see a difference, between how certain schools have different environments, different communities, and then you come across this mangled. I'm blessed to be at the school where I'm at right now, and just to see the kids how they struggle and how they learn to deal with their emotions. And sometimes the test is not the important thing in our classrooms. Sometimes we need mental breaks, and we dance around and we play around. And sometimes we don't turn in homework, but that's okay with me. I don't teach the same way that everybody else does, and I'm not the same as everyone else. And I am nowhere near to be perfect in my classroom either. I got a lot to learn still. But when it comes to my classroom, when it comes to my kids, they're first. And I can get after them, but nobody else can't, okay? I can tell them what they're doing wrong, but nobody else can tell my kids, hey, portate bien, or do something. No, only me. I'm very protective.
Absolutely. Well, I know you gave us a little brief introduction, but let's talk a little bit more. As you know, every person that I bring on the show is somebody who's been doing some great work and some people that I look up to. And then to have them on the show is to have my own personal PD, but also they're like a superhero to me. And we know that superheroes have
Likewise.
origin stories. And I know you told us a little bit about your origin story already as far as growing up. But my
Mhm.
question to you is did you always know that you wanted to be an educator, or was education something that came on a little bit later in life?
No, I used to play. My mom used to go buy things to sell at garage sales, right? And sometimes there would be one teacher that would retire, and she would come home with a binder full of just, remember those transparencies that you would put on the overhead? Okay, well, one time she brought me like two or three of those. So I would sit my little cousins down, and they had to learn something. And I would play pretend, outside my mom's house. And that's what we would do. My aunt gave me one of the chalkboards that fell from the little school in Reynosa, and it was huge, huge chalkboard, regular chalkboard. Well, my parents brought it and we had it at the house. So we had a bunch of chalk and we would play around. And all I can remember is growing up, I always want to be an educator. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do after that, but I knew that I at least wanted to be a teacher. And I always, would dream about, okay, what am I going to do the first day of school? And what are we going to talk about? And how am I going to be with the kids? And oh, when I grow up, I'm not going to get after them the way they get after me because I couldn't sit down to save my life, right? But it's always been something that I've inspired from talking to my parents and from them telling me, okay, Tanya, go to school. That was the one thing that they would always tell me, like, you need to go to school, Mija. You need to go to school, and there's nothing else. And your education, nobody can take it away from you. And that's always something that inspired me, my parents. And so when I finally graduated, I did make sure to talk to my parents, and we had a little gathering. We didn't have a big party or anything. We had a little gathering, and my parents came over, and we didn't even have to say anything. We just kind of hugged, and having my sister's support and my parents' support, not only for me but for my family, has made a big difference till this day. I mean, because whenever I take off on the weekend to go and create and share the love of creativity with other educators, my parents are the ones taking care of my kids, and my husband steps up and my sister's there. So I have a huge family unit support, and that's what I try to give my kids. We celebrate birthdays in the classroom, and we celebrate all the little things, especially right now that everyone, and I can tell you this because I see it, I've experienced it. We're stressing in the classroom, and we have the best support system from our administration. We have a phenomenal leader in our school, but it's just a stress that we cannot describe right now. And that's where we're trying to help each other out, and we're trying to be a morale, support for each other. And that's where the crazy TikToks come in, and that's when we say the funny jokes in the classroom, and we're just there for each other as a family. And right now I'm in a very good place in my life that I have found that core family in my working life that have helped me throughout everything that we've been facing together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that is so important. Not only the family support at home,
Mhm.
that family unit is so
Yeah.
important also, but also, like man, even the family unit within your four walls of school, within your coworkers and things of that sort. So that's amazing. I first of all, before we go on, I definitely want to show a lot of love or share a lot of love to the chat. The chat is going crazy.
Oh my
We've got
gosh.
Neela
Thank
in
you
here. We've
guys.
got
Thank you so
Jessica Adams. I wanted to show this comment here. Amanda Fox, thank you so much for joining us. Says, I used to teach my baby dolls. I created the lessons and then made my sister do all the work for each doll on my grade level. She was 2 years behind me. Steve Martinez, thank you, Steve, for joining, my boy.
much.
All right. Here it says Amanda Fox. It says, my 6-year-old daughter does that now. Very cool to see. And of course, Amanda saying, love the way that you celebrate all your students. They are lucky to have you. So thank you so much for all of you
Thank
that are
you.
participating in the chat and sharing so much love with Tanya, because she
Thank
definitely
you.
deserves it. She is doing such an amazing work within her
Thank
classroom and within our educator community. So Tanya, as we continue on here in our conversation, my friend, talk to me a little bit about, now you're in the classroom, first couple
you.
of years. When was it that you really started to dive in and using technology to enhance not only your personal creativity, but to enhance the learning and the creativity of your students? Was there a specific year or a specific moment that you can say, yeah, that was it? That's when it all clicked.
I think I've always been such a nerd tech in the classroom. I mean, back in the day, and I'm talking like 2008, it was the PowerPoints, right? You would make cool PowerPoints and everybody thought you were cool. You would make a video and attach to it, or edit something, and it was like, hey, how do you do that? How do you incorporate music? And that's always something that has attracted me to teach differently. We've seen the telephone. I was reading an article how the telephone has changed, from the old 100 years ago, big old telephone, to now a little cell phone, and how the TVs have changed. And I think we're at a point in education where we're finally getting to see this change. It's a change for the better. I think education is changing. A lot of us, what they would call the young guns. I'm nowhere near young anymore, but the young guns, right? We would come in and be, oh, let's do a PowerPoint, and let's create this for our children, and let's have our kids do a Prezi. Remember Prezi? It was
Yes.
just all these things would always get incorporated in my classroom and Google Classroom and this, but I think once we hit 2020, I think a lot of educators were forced to go a different route. And it opened the eyes to a lot of new platforms, and it opened our eyes to, hey, we can do this differently. Like education can change for the better. As for social media, I've always had my personal Facebook and Instagram and things like that, but I had never done it in a professional way or sharing my kids' work online. I did have a coworker a few years ago, and she was like, "Tanya, you need to get on Twitter." And I was like, "Okay, I'll get on Twitter." And just out of nowhere, I hit Twitter and I just started sharing. I mean, I usually share funny things, about me doing in the classroom with the kids, and I didn't think they were a big deal, but if it inspires somebody or if it makes a difference for somebody else, or for me to get a DM from somebody who's like, Miss Gonzalez, can you share how to do this? Absolutely. So then from there, it just, this whole summer, about a few months ago, and I started doing all the Adobe challenges, and I started practicing with Adobe Express and everything that was going on not at ISTE, because I didn't get to go to ISTE this past summer. I was doing. And through that and through attending PD like Amanda's PD and the Green Screen Gal PD and Adobe, Claudio and Tim presenting everywhere, all these people inspired me to continue learning and to continue looking into what this new edtech platform was becoming. And that's kind of how I have not only learned more, but I've also stepped up my game in the classroom. It is so easy to just get there with a passage and be like, all right, guys, everyone look at the passage and let's start doing this and that. But now, I mean, we have Cami and we're able to go in there and analyze the passage differently and share it and bring it back to me. We still use the Google Classroom, and we still use, now we can share it through Wakelet, or we can even make it better, and we can do a presentation through Adobe Express. And the amazing thing is I'm talking about all these things, and not only do I do it for my students, but my third graders do it for each other, or they celebrate each other, sending each other happy birthdays through different platforms, and they end up amazing me. So now it's turned into, wow, I've been inspired not only as an individual but as an educator to want more, to do more in the ed tech world, and this is where I'm at right now. I take in everything. You put up professional development online, it's free. I'm going to be there for sure, right? Teachers like free things. And I have learned so much, and I have connected with so many incredible people online. I mean, if you're not in the whole education network on Twitter, you're missing out. As an educator, you need to jump on board and just don't be scared. Share what you're doing in the classroom. Believe me, somebody's going to learn from you. Somebody's going to ask you something about it. And I think that, and not being shy, right? Asking people how to do this and how to do that, that's what has made a big impact in me, and just, more in the classroom. How I could, oh, Feli, I love you so much, Feli. And how I could just, continue learning from, oh my gosh, continue learning from people like Yaritza and Feli and Omar, and how they're always ready to be like, hey, let's do this together. And hey, let's, how about this? And they ask for an opinion from a little teacher. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys make me feel so special. But I've thanked God so many times for all of the connections that I've made this year, and just the incredible people that I continue learning from. And I could just keep talking, Fonz, because it has really changed me as an individual to get to know all these individuals and to learn from them, because I will consider myself at 50, 60, 70 a lifelong learner. And if I can make a difference for my kids in the classroom, I hope everybody else is thinking the same way to make a difference for each other.
Absolutely. Like you hit the nail on the head. You kind of already went after a couple of, I was going to ask you like those three questions, but you kind of worked them all into one. But it's great though, because I love it. It was just that natural progression. And like you said, like just your genuine authenticity and excitement. And it shows. I mean, the fact that you're out there sharing, many times people are just on Twitter to consume. Maybe they're just lurking, and lurking is okay. You're getting to see, who's doing what, and getting some ideas. But it's always great when they find something of value that you are doing, and then they sprinkle it onto what they're already doing great, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, check it out, Tanya, check out what I did, or like, just here's a variation, or here's this, and things of that sort. And like you said, I feel that many times we just overanalyze things, and we don't want to share things because it's like, oh, somebody's already doing this, or somebody's doing it better,
Who
and so
cares?
on. And you build that you get into that imposter syndrome. But like you said, you never know. And this is from Al Thomas. Al Thomas, my boy, I never forget this when he says there's always somebody watching you to do that one little thing that can definitely either spark that creativity or completely change the way that they think or change pretty much their journey because you've inspired them. So I always say there's nothing too small that you can't share. I wanted to show here also a message here. I don't know, here is this your sister, Natalie? I
Love
just wanted
you.
to
I love you.
Yes, says that's my beautiful sister. So she said a comment there. So I made sure I wanted to come back to that one
Thank
just to
you.
show you families here and they're showing some love here. So obviously,
My
very
biggest
well,
supporter.
yeah, huge supporters everywhere. So again, I wanted to just talk to you now about that whole creativity component, and you shared various platforms that you use with your third graders. So what I love is the fact that you don't underestimate your third graders and the ability for them to navigate technology, which can often be the case with many educators out there that may feel just a little maybe overwhelmed, or maybe they may not feel comfortable, so they just say no, no, they can't do it. They're too little, they're too young,
No.
they won't be able to do these things. So you mentioned Wakelet, you mentioned Adobe Express, you mentioned Cami, amongst others. So I want to know, for you that you've explored all these edu platform or edutech platforms, which ones are the ones that you use that are very effective for your third grade classroom?
So the one thing that has inspired me the most, and I mean, there's so many, and you could just, I mean, pick from the basket, and you're gonna get a winner, right? But my kids have really enjoyed using Adobe Express, and that's something that I have been able to play with the most. Do I use other platforms? Yes. Do I use Wakelet? Yes, I do. Do I use Cameo? Of course. But my kids have kind of inclined more into Adobe Express, and that's one that we always share. It's easy for them to log in and create something. It's a free canvas for them to open up. And the first time we introduce any, not only Adobe, but just any platform, I don't ever show them what to do. I tell them, guys, I want you to type your name. I want you to create something and go for it. I don't even show them how to add a picture. I don't show them anything, fonts. I just tell them, you know what? This is something new. We're going to try it. And if we have 5-10 minutes in the morning, hey, let's do this before we start our R&E time. And we need to get those minutes in, right? So you'll see us all on the Chromebook and trying to get it. And within 5-10 minutes, those kids get the hang of it. I don't even have to train them on how to do things. Not only that, it inspires me so much for us to use a platform and for them to reward my classroom. Adobe Express has been the main one. They've sent us cupcakes, they've sent us cookies, they've sent us pencils, shirts. I mean, you named it. We've won something from Adobe Express. The same thing with Wakelet. We've done so many Wakelet collections, and just the most recent one was the Christmas list collection. I don't know if you guys saw that one. And my entire classroom, participated. We created our collection. We shared it out. We won $100. We still have those $100. Just recently, who did I win $50 from? I just won it. Oh, from what's it called? Pop. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna kick
Brain
myself.
Pop?
No, not Brain Pop. It's a new platform. They send us a link to test
Okay.
out their information, and we've been testing it out and playing with it. Well, they were so grateful for us to use it in the classroom that they sent us $50. So right now we have $150 on an Amazon wish list, right? And we don't know. We're gonna pick as a classroom. Either we're gonna pick reward toys, or we're gonna pick a headset for all of the kids in the classroom. And the kids get super excited over that. I mean, Canva has also sent us stickers, and they've sent us little notebooks as well. And it just, to see the kids get inspired, and then for them to turn it around and do something completely on their own without even me telling them what to do, or for them to do a birthday card for their mom or their sister or whoever, that I think is what drives me the most. To show them Study Pop. Yes, Amanda, that one. So Study Pop did send us $50 after we used it. I love you so much. Thank you for reminding me, because then I would feel so bad. But everybody's always, just like Amanda did right now, everybody in the education world is always so inspiring and always trying to give you tools to use in your classroom. And I'm very fortunate to be in the classroom still and be able to have that connection with the students. that it doesn't matter what you throw at our classroom. Like, I'm going to challenge my kids to do it, and they're going to do something with it. So I don't incline to, let's use this one, let's use that one. It's whatever my babies feel that they want to do. I mean, we've used Kahoot, and we've used Ed Puzzle, and it's whatever we're feeling. I get bored really fast. I have to be moving around my classroom. I can't sit down. And we talked about this. It's my ADHD. I admit it, right? I'm loud and this, like, crazy Mexican who can't sit down. But that's me. And that's kind of like my kids have been coming to classroom. And it's been tough the last couple of days, the last couple of months. And you try to hang in there, and you laugh at the silly moments, and you cry with your kids. And I had one kid who didn't come back after Christmas, and it kind of broke my heart. So you just become your kids, and they become part of your life. And it's really up to them how they want to learn. I'm not there to dictate, to be a dictator of, you guys have to do this and do it now. I have to give them that freedom of choice. And if I don't do that, I wouldn't be a fair individual to their learning. Is it hard? Yes, it's really hard. And I'll keep saying, yes, I crack my head, and sometimes I cry by myself. But at the end of the day, I have them, they have me, and I have my coworkers to lean on. So one way or another, we're going to finish the school year strong and keep learning together with everything that's out there right now, right? Such big change in technology and education. Definitely.
Absolutely. No, for sure. And you know what? It's wonderful. I love the way that you feel about that, your passion that you're sharing, because oftentimes many teachers may just say, no, this is what we're going to use, or they say, no, these are the only tools.
That's
But I
fine.
myself, just, yeah, just like you in the classroom, back in the day when we were first getting Chromebooks, I was that one teacher. We only had 2 Chromebook carts in the whole school, and I was that one teacher that checked it
Even to
out
me.
all year long. That thing lived in my classroom, and we were using it every day. And those last 4 years, really, I
Mhm.
was kind of just practicing on grading. And really, what we were doing is at the beginning of the week, we'd introduce the subject matter, whether it was science, social studies, or math. And then we would work on a project. And what I loved about it, like you said, is I would just put the Chromebook in front of the students, teach them a little bit about Google Slides, some of the other platforms that we would have for screen
Mhm.
recording. We had Edpuzzle, we have Screencastify, we had I forget what other platforms. And I said, look, here's my rubric. This is the expectation, just to show that there is learning taking place. This is what the project would be. So you can either get up and you can go ahead and present in front of the class. You can do a screencast if that's what you like, and just go through your presentation. You can write, you can do a graphic, you can do anything that you wanted, but this is just a requirement. And what I loved about it, it was just that magical uh, time in the classroom where I learned so much from my students, because they were exploring different tools and
Mhm.
different ways. That I always said, first period, I would learn from them, second period, learn from them. And then my last class of the day, I look like an expert because I learned from all of
There you
them. And then I learned from that class and would bring it in the morning. But I loved that community. I love the way the students helped each other out, collaborated, worked. And the fact that you, like you said, you give them a choice in how they want to present, and what
go.
makes them and what is more comfortable for them at that time, is something that is amazing. So like you said, giving them that choice in their learning definitely pays off in dividends. And the one thing that I always say too, because you do have a digital learning artifact, that
Mhm.
when you do go into maybe an IEP or a 504 meeting, you have digital artifacts that you can bring to show
Yep.
and share growth, to show and share maybe just maybe a couple of little things or tweaks that could be made for additional support or things of that sort. But you have that evidence that learning took place. And that's the one thing that I absolutely love, that teachers can leverage tech to use it for good. But then you're building up these digital learning artifacts for students that once they go on to the next year, maybe they can pull from the year before and improve upon that, and it becomes part of themselves, their learning, their portfolio at the end. And I think it's something that is really magical for sure.
I'll jump on your collaboration. So right now we're already at our, star 2.0 mode, and everybody's, breaking into
Hmm.
smaller groups, and we're changing, my classroom is everywhere, right? So one thing that I have noticed is I keep the Spanish speaking kids, the testers, right? The Spanish testers in my class. We have about a group of 9 kids who are going to be testing in Spanish. Well, now that I have other kids coming into my room, I've seen how it's so easy for our children to start collaborating. And my kids have become such strong leaders that they kind of shape the way the conversations go and the way that they kind of, hey, you need to sit down and you need to do this. And I think that whole, they consider themselves creators, but they have really taken ship and they have really taken ownership of working with people. And I think that's the one thing that we want most out of these kids, because nobody's going to remember that you read 10 passages or that you have 150 AR points. It's going to be, did you grow up to be a good member of your community? Are you productive? Can you work with others? Or can you be respectful enough to deal with your emotions and work with others? And I think that that's where learning from them has made me even a better individual. Control yourself, become better. And how are these, emotional skills going to help you once you get into the real world? Because you might not remember Ms. Gonzalez, 10, 20 years from now, but you might remember that, hey, we worked together, and that even if you didn't like that person, you're getting ready to go into the real world and work with everybody else. So that collaboration right now is just very important. The whole student morale and the whole way that the student has to be built and learn from one another is very important for our future community members. Definitely.
Yes, no, I agree. So, Tanya, let me ask you now, before we talk a little bit more about the great work that you do, as an ACE creator and then going out to conferences. But I want to ask you, with your experience, what you've been doing right now in third grade, what you've been doing, on social media, so on your own professional growth and so on. What would be some great advice for teachers that are out there that may be a little bit afraid of the tech, but maybe feel or see that there is a need to start introducing this, and maybe they just aren't like us, that we just dive right in, feet first and all, but maybe they just want to start dipping their toes. What is some great advice that you would share with them so that way they can go ahead and start introducing more tech with their students?
I honestly, Fonz, I think change is scary, even for me. Change is always going to be something that we're not going to be able to adapt from one day to another. But I think that if you start off with your own coworkers, there's always that one coworker at your school who's already doing something with technology. And I think our whole persona sometimes comes across as very like, oh, she's flaunting her work, or she's doing this, but it's just the way we are. Hi, Shani. I think it's just the way we are. I mean, not only am I loud, I'm not afraid to make myself look silly. I'm not, scared to ask a question or to voice my opinion. And sometimes I think that comes across like, she's a very strong character, But I think if you just take it slow, if you reach out to somebody and maybe collaborate instead of doing something on your own, like, hey, let's work on Flipgrid together, and we could do a classroom and we could share what the kids are sharing, and then the kids start doing their own projects together. Or maybe if you reach out, I've reached out to so many influential educators of technology via Twitter, and I have not been ignored once. Everybody has been so sweet, even when I have problems with any of the platforms that I've used. Everybody, it might take a day or two because everybody's busy, and it's completely understandable, but reach out, guys. Start your Twitter account. Hang out there and just look at what everyone else is doing in the classroom, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to do. Yes, I'm a very arborist person. Thank you, Shannon, for reminding me. I need to tell you about that inside joke, Fonz. But I think at the end of the day, everybody's always so ready to help and to share what everyone else is doing. I don't think anybody's going to turn you down. And on it is STAR 2.0 for everybody in Texas, right? Our standard test, and it's moved on from paper-based. Now it's computer. It's not anymore, hey, you need to teach computer skills. It's if they don't have them, they're not going to be a successful student this year, unfortunately. So not only is it, are you scared to start something new? It's, you have to do this change for the students. They need it the most. We know how to use any device that they give us, but some of our babies don't even have Wi-Fi at home. So we have to show them, we have to help them and prepare them for the future. This is the future of technology. Our kids are going to be the ones guiding us later on with the skills that we at least try to initiate for them. So I would say, don't be afraid. I mean, I'm here to help. I know Fonz is always helping everybody else and showing and just bringing superstars to his platform and just sharing how you can be creative in the classroom. And it is very hard. And I'm not going to lie, we go crazy and bonkers in the classroom. But I think if you just maybe slowly progress and maybe hang out to that coworker that's already doing something and get that little push to start together. Maybe that could be a big difference. If not, reach out to me. I'm here to help. Whatever you guys need. I mean, I'm just blessed to be in the current situation that I'm in of being around so many individuals that are influenced me to become a better educator. That I hope I can make a difference for somebody. So if you ever need anything on that side of technology, I'm ready to help anytime.
Excellent. Big shout out to Shannon. Shannon, thank you so much for joining
Yes.
us. I love Shannon's comment here. Connections are gold. Take the
Yes.
risk, reach out. Don't hesitate to embrace. Hashtag
Yes.
better together. Excellent. Thank you so much,
Shannon is also
Shannon.
an ACE leader. I met Shannon at DFW at one of our creative institutes. She's an
And
amazing leader out of California.
yeah, she is amazing. So it's been great to know Shannon and see her growth also in on Twitter Space and the way that she shares and the knowledge that she has and experiences and
Phenomenal
always willing
author too.
to share. Yeah, she is amazing. So make sure that you do connect with Shannon more also as well. She's amazing. But that leads me to this next question actually. Like you were talking about the creative institutes. So I know that you have been traveling, as an ACE educator and going out to conferences, create these creative institutes that Adobe puts out, and you're out there. So my question to you is, I want to ask you, what has been the greatest learning experience that you have had as being a participant and bringing that knowledge to other educators?
This excites me so much. You have no idea. I did share with you that one of my passions, last year's goal for this year was to make sure I took my principal test this year because that was my main goal. I wanted to be a principal. Well, the opportunity came by after sharing everything that we were doing on Twitter and doing all the ACE challenges. I actually met Claudio Zavala at Technovate, our McAllen ISD technology conference, and we talked and we kind of like got to know each other and everything that Claudio is doing. And I was just very fortunate to become an ACE leader thanks to Claudio and everything that he has shared with me. And I cannot even talk of how excited I get whenever I talk about conferences. I think the institutes and all of the conferences that I attended this year have shown me what just how amazing our whole community of technology educators are, and how everyone is just always in such that happy mood and let me teach you something mood, and you're amazed by the energy at the conference. You're amazed by the great connections. I've made great friends through the conferences and through the institutes of Adobe, and I don't think I can stand not going to another conference. I mean, I was sharing with you. We were very fortunate to just get an email for ISTE recently, and that's just a blessing. And one of the reasons why I was invited to ISTE by my district was because of everything that we've been sharing and doing through Adobe and through the conferences, and how we're bringing that back to the classroom and actually getting it done in the classroom as well. So I can't even talk, Fonz. I get too excited. It has just been out of this world. I mean, I told you, I'm just a little girl from Reynosa, Tamaulipas. I used to play barefoot in the street, and my dad used to whistle at me like, Tanya, it's 8 o'clock, come back inside. And for me to be doing what I'm doing right now, or to be connecting with the individuals to learn from them, I have no words. I can only say, Dios me está cuidando, and he's giving me the right path. And my family has been here for me. And I don't know. It's just, if you guys have not attended a technology conference before, I recommend you try your very best to attend. It's once you get to know the people energy, and once you just become friends, even if you only see these people once or twice a month, they are incredible. It's connections that you make, and the lifelong learning experiences that you get from them, and their enthusiasm for you to learn and to take something back to the classroom. It has just, I don't know. I mean, it has been out of this world. That's all I can tell you. It's just this excitement. They tell me like, hey, there's an institute coming up. Like, oh my God, where are we going? And what are we going to do? And then to connect with these people and for them to say, oh my God, this is so hard. The first thing I tell them, yes, you better, Mel. The first thing I tell them is my third graders can do it. So don't tell me that this is hard. We have third graders who are doing this in real life skills and who have been rewarded for doing a great job. So, and they're like, what? And then I'll show them some of the work that we're doing, and they're like, I can't even record this right now. How are they doing that? I'm like, I don't know. We just practice every day and we try to do something fun here and there. And somehow between Star 2.0 and everything else that's going on, we can incorporate technology and add something fun to the classroom, whenever we need those mental breaks. So, oh gosh, fun.
Absolutely.
That has been
No,
my favorite question so far. Seriously, like my enthusiasm for technology and the conferences is just, I have no words for it. There's just so much of me like, like get me out there. I'll do something, whatever you want me to do. But
I love it. I love it.
thank
And I'm with you on that. And I echo everything that you said because going to those conferences and really seeing your friends, seeing people that you may not often see all the time,
you.
but then you make those connections and you pick up right where you left off. And even though all your relationship started like on Twitter being friends and then you connect in real life. And then like you said, you meet every once in a while and it's just like you've never even been apart at all whatsoever. But not only that, I love what Jessica says here. Jessica says attending an EdTech conference will fill your bucket like you
Yeah,
wouldn't believe. And that is absolutely true. Coming back from TCEA, able to meet some amazing educators that I've looked up to and meeting them in person. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, do you want to be a guest on my podcast? I was like, me? I was like, you want me to be the guest?
of
It's like
course. Why wouldn't you?
it's been so cool to make those connections and then other companies saying like, hey, we love the work that you're doing, and then they actually know what you're doing. And it has been great, just that impact of making those connections. And like I said, like here, like our mission, connecting educators and creators one show at a time. And that's what we want, even right now, you and I, we are great. We've made the connection, but we're also great connectors of people. Like, we love to help. And if we can't solve it, we'll definitely connect you
Somebody
with
will.
somebody who can for sure. So I love that. Shannon here says the best part of the ACE Institutes are the product knowledge and innovative ideas that educators leave with. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So, Tanya, it has been amazing. Thank you so much for your energy.
Thank
I
you.
thank you for being here and being your true self and showing
Thank you.
everybody this is you. This is you. And the chat was full of so much love for
I'm
you,
gonna
my
go back.
friend.
I'm gonna go back and read everything.
Yes, go back and read everything because there's so much love for you, Tanya,
Thank you.
everything that you're doing. Continue with the great work because we definitely need more educators such as yourself to really inspire other educators and just continue to
Definitely.
keep the creativity flowing in the education space. So thank you so much. And of course, a lot of love here from your sister too. She's definitely been in the chat, so that's awesome. So yeah, thank you. All right,
Thank
so
you.
now before we wrap up, we're going to go ahead and end with my favorite segment here, the last three questions for our guests. So, Tanya, question number one: in the current state of education, what would you say is your current edu kryptonite?
Let me see. I am very intrigued by the whole movement of AI right now. Like I'm very intrigued by how I mean, it's going to change, and we don't know what direction it's going to take, and we don't know what rules to follow yet. Everybody's very excited right now talking about it, and I think that's one thing. I don't want to say that I'm scared to go into. I love it. I've seen what everybody else is doing, and it's awesome. I mean, Adobe has the cute little animator with the sound and everything, and the kids are going crazy over it. But I am a bit concern of how it's gonna play out. Who's gonna write the rules of how it's gonna be incorporated more into education. uh, the other thing that I would say I die for all the time, I don't know, my kryptonite would be conferences. I don't want to teach anymore. I want to do conferences all the time. No, just kidding. But I don't know, I think that would be it. I don't know.
Perfect.
I don't know, you
Okay.
got me there. You got me
Yeah, no,
there.
no, no, but that's a good answer. Those are great things to think about. As you know, of course, with Chat GPT and everything that
Mhm.
we're seeing, we're definitely seeing there is going to be I guess an evolution of the teaching
Definitely.
of teaching and teachers. There is going to be a change there. I know that there's a lot of fear because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get replaced. But right
It's a
now,
change. It's a
yeah,
change.
it's just that change. And what I'm telling people is really, it's just now you're seeing the AI being front facing. Before,
Mhm.
it's like you put a student on a platform, the AI does its thing through an algorithm to say, okay, the student is, let's say, at this level. We're going to go ahead and give them whatever they need to get to the next level and so on. So you don't really think about it at all whatsoever until now that it's forward facing and you're like, oh my goodness, what is this? And so what the best thing that I've said to teachers is like, well, we need to learn what it is. We need to embrace what it is and see how we as educators can leverage this for ourselves and see how it can help enhance our practice. Obviously, to me, the number one thing is time saving. I want to make sure that teachers save time and just enhance those lessons and so on. And then, of course, we're going to see a million platforms that are going to come out in the education space also to save time for
Yeah.
our teachers, and then of course for students as well, to be able to do presentations, to be able to create, to personalize the learning a little bit more. But one thing to note is the AI, there's still certain things that the AI won't be able to do that a teacher can do. For example, that love and that enthusiasm that you have, that knowing your students, that as they walk in, you know what they're coming with, you know what they may be, facing, and be able to adjust that day for them to make it the best day that they've had. I don't think that AI is there yet. And I think it's going to be a fairly long time before AI can do something like
Actually,
that. So, as far as educators, we definitely there's still a place for us, but just embrace it, adapt, and improvise and overcome. And so we'll see. But I love that. All right. Question number two, Tanya. If you can have any billboard on it, Ayana 281 Expressway, what would it be and why?
the hashtag better together. I think I think that would be it for me. If I had one hashtag besides creating or creativity, it would definitely be better together, because I think as we're growing in the whole education platform and the technology world of education, I think that all the platforms are going to become stronger once we realize how we could all work together, right? And if we see that respect amongst the collaboration that we're teaching our children, it would be, a future goal of mine to maybe do that. How can everyone, still make their ends meet, and still work together and see how we can all become better? Because at the end of the day, we're all here for the purpose of the child, right? We need to make our students better. We need to make them sure that they're ready for, like I've told you, that the whole 21st century, we're here. It's no longer, hey, let's get you ready for the 21st century. No, it's here now. How are we going to make that child a better student for our community? Because in a couple of years, you and I are going to be out of here, and they're going to be the ones influencing everything that's going on. So I think that if everybody just works together, and we could all, somehow resolve everything better together, at the end of the day, it's for the student.
Agree 100%. Well said. All right. And the last question, I'm going to change it up here. What is one thing right now that you are the most excited about that is happening in education, whether it's personal or professional?
um there's a change obviously going on in the whole education world because of everything that's going on in the classroom from the teacher perspective, right? I still have that perspective. But I think that at the end of the day, we're going to do what we did in 2020, from one day to another, change your classroom. And we went from having beautiful, bulletin boards and everything to getting in our Google Classroom and trying to connect through, Zoom, and through everything that we were doing with the students, Google Meets. I think that's where we're at in the current phase of education, not only in technology, but as educators as well. And once we pass this, hiccup, and we realized, what went wrong with all these years that we unfortunately were not able to be ourselves because of 2020. I think once we go over that hiccup, that we're going to just, continue doing what we're doing one way or another. Like I said, we did it back in 2020. From one day to another, everybody was still teaching and sharing and doing what they had to make sure that our kids got what they needed. And I think once we go over that hiccup, and that we realize what it is that we need to do for them to continue learning or become better, that it should just go smooth sailing from that. And I don't know, maybe it is AI, right? Maybe that AI is going to adapt us to a new generation of teaching, and we'll see how that goes.
Excellent. Great answer. Well, Tanya, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. I mean, we could have definitely kept going on and on and on, but I definitely respect your time and everything. And for
Yeah.
audience members, definitely thank you so much, Shannon, Mel, Feli, Steve, Amanda. Who am
Thank
I missing? Jessica. I think also, Jessica, thank you so much. Neelan, for being on the chat as well. I appreciate you all for stopping by and showing some love to Tanya, who is an amazing educator. And for all our audience members, please make sure that you follow Tanya on Twitter at Mrs. T. Gonzalez, where she could definitely share some amazing, amazing work and can inspire you to just take that leap and start experimenting with EdTech and bring it to your classroom. And again, always feel free to reach out to her, and likewise reach out to us. And if we don't know, we'll definitely connect you with somebody that can have an answer for you, because we are also great connectors. And it's all about, like she said, hashtag better together. So thank you all for joining us. And for our audience members too, as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you for making my EdTech life a part of your day. Thank you so much for all the likes, shares, and follows, and everything that we do. Our mission, again, is just to create a space for amazing educators like Tanya to come and share their stories, to inspire other educators, to inspire creators too as well, and bringing just the education landscape together. And again, with the hopes of improving, with the hopes of, again, bringing this to our students and inspiring one another to continue on this wonderful journey that is this amazing profession. So thank you. And please make sure that you go to our website at myedtech.life, where you can check out this amazing episode and the other 175 amazing episodes with wonderful educators that you can learn from. Take a little bit about of what they learned, sprinkle it on to what you are already doing great. And also, if you'd like to support our mission, please make sure you stop by our merch store as well, that you'll be able to find there on our website, and get yourself a cap, a sweater. And I want you to know all of that goes back into the show as well. So thank you as always for all of your support. And don't forget, mis amigos, until next time, stay tech.